Good morning, or evening,
Morning.
or afternoon, wherever
Yeah.
we're up to. Welcome to a Train of Thought episode, but we haven't talked about video games in a while, so we decided let's discuss some of those video games.
Yeah. Early adopters to the channel. We used to have something called Games Chat.
We launched the
Which may,
channel in the middle of a lot of video game news.
yeah. So it may come back as a dedicated show. But in the meantime, it's been a little dry since the console launches. Only one of us got one of the new consoles, which we will talk about, I think, as well.
And
'Cause I
now
don't.
there is no new consoles to get.
Yeah. So we kind of put gaming stuff on the back burner for a little bit to focus on our other stuff. Especially as we like at our peak, we were putting 2 episodes of something out a week anyway over in the winter period. But yeah, just a little chat, little catch up, little what's been going on. I mean, obviously, I don't think we have had a games chat since you got your PlayStation 5, James. So maybe
No.
start with some very late impressions on the PlayStation 5.
It plays PS4 games very well.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm waiting for major releases. Resident Evil 7, maybe 8.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 8 Village, maybe one of the first major releases for me. I played Spider-Man at launch. Very good. I played Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs. I think we did have a game chat because I remember talking about Watch Dogs.
I can't remember. I think that's been the problem, really.
But yeah, Watch Dogs was very. It's an
Watch Doggy.
Ubisoft open world game. I didn't finish it, but I played a fair amount of it. I enjoyed what I played. Same with Immortals, Rise of Phoenix. I've not played Valhalla yet, although I do own it.
I struggle with the Assassin's Creed games.
Valhalla, I've heard is very good.
I played the vast majority of the first one. I dabbled with a couple of the others. It just like there's something that didn't quite get me.
Thing is, if you haven't played one in a while, they're not the same.
Oh, I know
game as
they've.
they used to
I know
be,
they've. I know they've significantly changed.
Origins
but,
onwards is very different.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a Origins was the Egyptian one, wasn't it?
Yes.
We very, very nearly picked that up with the museum patch.
Yeah, to do the.
So that because I thought that was fantastic. That was an incredible idea.
I'm very tempted by Valhalla because obviously a good chunk of it is in the UK.
Yeah, most of the game is, isn't it? I know you start in Norway and then kind of work your way over and try and conquer the whole country.
Speaking of Valhalla, I have started playing last night. I put on God of War.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
PS4's Premium Dad Simulator.
Because it's finally had a couple of little.
Just had a major update to bring it to give you 4K 60 FPS on PS5, and God, it is a lovely looking game. I've only played through the opening segment.
I haven't yet played it because
I hear it's a great game to play if you really like the sound of fans.
Well, I mean, I do have a Pro, so mine shouldn't be as funny.
No, the Pro was notoriously fannier than the normal PS4.
See, I
think it depends on which generation Pro you manage to get, but some of the Pros apparently sound like absolute jet engines.
Well, I mean, mine was a fairly early Pro. It wasn't like day one because they were just completely sold out everywhere.
I've heard I've heard people say that they couldn't play God of War on the PS4 Pros at night because it would wake anyone in the house up.
Jesus. No, I don't seem to get that problem. I get short little bursts every now and again, but I don't really get that problem.
The problem is exacerbated by people jamming it into entertainment centres.
Whereas mine's out in the open. I do need to get one of those little air guns.
Let's be fair, that is why the PS5 is such an absolute behemoth. They designed a console that could not be jammed into an entertainment centre. They're like, no, you're going to give this airflow. You will give it airflow.
Well, I mean, even if you do manage to jam it in, like it's so bloody large
But
that
it's
it
why it's
will.
got the wings, right?
Yeah,
Because even if you put it in,
mm,
the wings force a gap there. Why, if it
yeah,
was just a block, it could go
mm,
straight up to a. It could be
yeah,
encased in wood.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's a fine piece of design.
Now,
Very. No, I
it,
mean it
it
is.
it's
I
ugly,
mean,
but
you see, I quite like it. I
no,
know it's not
it doesn't
like,
go with anything. When you've got it standing up, it
yeah,
it, it, it doesn't naturally fit with anything. It looks like the world's It does look like the world's largest router,
yeah, yeah. I
but
think
it
that
has
like
a.
I think that's the downside maybe of it being white though, because like most people's entertainment systems aren't white. I think like when they inevitably release a black one or get to the point where there's official faceplate
See, mine is white.
changes and stuff.
I have a silver rimmed television.
Hmm.
I'm I'm looking at it now. That's why my gaze is significantly off camera.
Hmm.
A white Sonos soundbar,
Hmm.
an Xbox One S, which is white, some books, and then a white PS5. My
Hmm.
biggest problem is it's the gloss on the black plastic middle. It makes the whole thing look cheap,
I mean,
which is
admittedly,
not worth
I've not
pointing
seen
out.
one in person.
It's not cheap. That's the.
No, no, I get what you mean though. I get what you mean.
But fundamentally, design doesn't really
Hmm.
matter. It's not like the Xbox is a pinnacle of design. It is a
A
black tower.
box. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although I kind of like it. I like the simplicity of it. Actually,
Design
I'll
wise,
give
I
them
like
that.
my PC. Black tower, lights set to
Mm,
purple, glass screen
mm,
along the side so you can see the internals. Simple, but
yeah.
but nice.
Mm. I think the important thing though is, do you enjoy playing the games on it?
Yes,
And
that is the ultimate point.
that's
What it looks like
yeah.
isn't really a be
No.
all end all for that.
Um.
But
I
yeah,
mean, I
go.
think obviously the next big Sony exclusive is Ratchet and Clank, isn't it?
No,
Isn't it?
no. But we'll get to that in a sec. I just want to
Yeah, sure.
quickly talk about God of War a little bit more.
Mm,
It's good.
mm,
Like I said, I've only played through that opening bit. A stranger comes to your house near the beginning, and you have a big fight with him.
mm.
Had lightning powers, so I'm guessing maybe 4.
I don't know.
Who knows? But
I never got around to
throwing
playing it.
that axe and having to call it back yourself, like it's not an automatic comeback, is
Mm,
so satisfying. Especially when you line it up to throw it and you call it back through a bad guy. Like
mm.
it's a very satisfying.
Have they added any like of the haptics to the DS5? Do you know for it?
I mean, it was
Does
rumbling.
it?
I don't think it didn't have a. Oh, you do use the triggers for punching and hitting, but
Mm,
they just pressed. Like
mm.
I'm not sure it's a game that
Does
would benefit from. If anything, any kind of pushback on those button presses would slow down.
mm.
Yeah, it's still. What shocked me
Oh,
was because I've seen everyone talk about it.
yeah,
What shocked me is how much it still feels to a certain extent like God of War.
yeah.
Like I wasn't expecting that
Mm.
because of how everyone discussed the game. I wasn't expecting it to kind of play like God of War. I was
No, I
expecting it
get.
to be
Yeah, yeah.
a very different thing. I was expecting it weirdly, and why would a game about a big bald dude with an axe play this way? But I was expecting it to play like Last of Us, which is one of the reasons I think I put off playing it for so long. Because it was marketed and sold as like, oh yeah, another big like Sony
Yeah, yeah.
kind of, and I've said it before on our previous game shows how I think Sony's first party exclusives are one type of game made very well, but I'm gonna change that opinion Sony market all their exclusives like one type of game they make very well, but I don't think they are one type. Like, this is a very different experience so far to a Naughty Dog game. And I'm tempted to pick up, when I finish it, I might pick up Ghost of Tsushima, because I've heard that plays very well with a PS5 update as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a technological marvel anyway, apparently, on the PS4, because it was like the load times were like just crazy fast, incredibly good looking, and ran very smooth. I'm a big fan of watching the Digital Foundry breakdown videos, and it was one of the smoother games as far as like the PS4 generation went, which is saying something, because obviously at the end of generations, especially the first party or exclusive games do tend to really push the consoles to their absolute limits. So the fact that they managed to pull that off with Tsushima, and then obviously now you've got all those sexy new features, and a much more powerful console to play it with, then job done. And of course you've got the free DLC to dabble with as well, should you fancy it. So
you were asking me about major PS5 exclusives coming up. Well, Deathloop has been pushed now. That's a September release, but we've still got Housemarque's Returnal at the end of this
Returnal
month.
Which looks really interesting.
Yes.
Because when it was first revealed, I mean, obviously it doesn't look like what you think of as a Housemarque game, for starters, until you see the gameplay, and then it looks very much like a Housemarque game, but from a completely different perspective.
I'm torn on it, because it looks stunning, but I know I'm going to be awful.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I'm like,
it's
do I want to spend 70 quid on a game I'm going to be terrible at?
Assuming it's 70, because I mean, is it?
Yeah. It's been treated as a AAA release.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, it looks like a AAA, so
PS5 exclusives going forward, like Sony published games, are £70.
Yeah, fair enough. They cost a lot to make now, so
they do, and it's fat.
I mean,
I'm not sure if they found the breaking point for pricing, like what people are willing to pay for a game. But then the alternative is microtransactions. Like, I'm not or the other alternative is we stop making AAA games.
I mean, the thing, at least with the Sony first party stuff, is that they don't tend to be microtransactions, and when they are microtransaction stuff, or potential for it, then they'll do stuff like they did with that Demolition Derby-ish thing that came out recently. The All-Star.
That's a 40 quid game if you're buying it new.
It's 40 quid now, but I mean, obviously the first month of it was a PlayStation
They've
Plus
just
title.
released Dave's Odyssey, which I think is a 40, 50 quid game as well.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. And again, that's a PlayStation Plus title this month.
Yeah. And next month.
Because
the PS5 games seem to be staying on for more than a month because they haven't got enough to.
I mean, fair enough. It's early doors, and if they're doing that,
I think it's today that.
But yeah, I think most Sony games don't tend to have microtransactions anyway. So, like, if it is, it's not like you're playing an Ubisoft game or something like that, where we talked about the essentially Assassin's Creed reboot in the last few games.
For the UK tomorrow, Horizon Zero Dawn will be free as well. So I just want to check that. And for anyone watching this, we're recording on April the 19th.
Yep.
So it's 4 a.m. in the morning for us that Horizon Zero Dawn will go free.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I've already got it twice, technically.
I technically have it on disc, but it's the Game of the Year edition going free that has Frozen Wilds, so I'm going to claim it and...
do it. Yeah. It's all I'd say, because I know that you didn't get that far.
Yeah.
When you get to a point where you could do Frozen Wilds, hold off as late as you possibly can.
Yeah, I'll probably go through the main plot.
I mean, you have to do Frozen Wilds before you finish the main plot, because there is a.
Oh, so what happens if you'd finished the game? You had to play the game again if you wanted to play Frozen Wilds?
Yes.
That's a bad piece of DLC then.
But you could do it as a New Game Plus.
But still, that's a bad piece of DLC. Like, DLC should work without having to play the entire game again. Like,
I think you could go. I think you could go back in, actually.
I would hope so, because if I'd finished Horizon and Frozen Wilds came out, I would be like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm not going back in to play it again.
To be honest, it's been a while since I played it, but I think there was a way of getting in that you could just load it as the Frozen Wilds, but you can naturally just go in there as a map, as an extension of the map. The thing is, the beasts that are in there are significantly more dangerous than what's outside of it. So ideally, you need that super suit. So you need to remember to collect all 4 of the power packs to get the super suit. Because neither of us, I'd say, are good enough to take down the big beasts in Frozen Wilds without the super suit, realistically.
Yeah.
Although you do get some pretty cool armor while you're in there that, in theory, would work. Yeah.
Start of
Frozen Wilds was stunning. Then.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning. Yeah. Horizon's still one of my rare platinums. I think I've only got 6 or so. And I've arguably platinumed it twice. Because I've played it through and done everything that needs to get the platinum each time. So,
I mean, starting next month. It is a cross-gen game, but I'd argue it's one of the first big third-party releases of this gen, Resident Evil 8 Village.
Yeah, I mean, it would be this early in the generation, especially for a game like Resident Evil. It would be madness not for it to be cross-gen, I think.
But playing the demo of it last night,
I
can't see that game running well on.
No. Well, I mean, saying that, I mean, the RE engine for the previous games has worked perfectly well. You'd think that they would have had it optimized by now. But
yeah, the demo was good. I played both demos now. There's just the castle demo left to go.
Yeah.
So I played the original tech demo from a couple of months back, the maiden demo, and then these are slices of the actual game they're allowing you to play through, and you get 30 minutes. And I'm seeing it more and more. These are the demos he would have taken to shows last year. This is the demo you would have queued up to play at EGX or EA and I really think 1 year, maybe not this year, maybe next year, we should go do an episode that you should get a ticket to EGX, go down for the week.
I think it'll be next year because I mean, I know obviously the UK is doing really well with the vaccine rollout and stuff like that, but I can't see it being the full experience this year.
Yeah, I have got a convention booked for November time because I should be fully vaccinated by then. I'm not got a ticket yet, but I'm going to. That is Thought Bubble Comic Convention in Leeds, Valhalla.
I mean, that should be all right.
Yeah.
That should be fine. Like by November, I just think that
EGX has announced their dates this year. It's September time.
It's whether they have the confidence from.
It might be October.
From the various companies as well.
Yeah.
Because it isn't just a case of Well,
EA's going ahead, isn't it? If EA goes ahead, other conventions will, I think.
Yeah.
EGX is great though. We should. I think you'd have a blast there.
I think the other thing is obviously it's a question of whether they have to bring people in for it, and whether the press have to come in for it, like whether it's going to be fine with what you can get internally, because there's still that question mark of whether we're going to have quarantine periods and stuff like that going forward, and because again, obviously we're doing really well with the rollout, but other countries are nowhere near where we are, so it's that's all up in the air. So I think next year certainly we'll do it. I think that'll be a laugh, because I've not been to a game convention or anything like that.
I did 2 years on the trot. 1 year just did a day because we figured a friend was like, "Shall we go?" And it's like, if everyone's off on Sunday, and we're like, "Can make sure we're off on Sunday."
What's the big one in Germany?
Gamescom.
Yeah, because I mean, I'd love to go and do that, and then obviously we can go and visit Ryan, our friend who lives in Cologne.
The only thing I've been going for EGX, and 100% worth going still, is that it moved back down to London. Birmingham was the sweet spot because everyone could travel to it, smack bang in the Midlands, isn't it? It was easy for most. Everyone had to travel to get to it, but it was in.
But why would you make it easy for the people when you can make it easier for the businesses?
Yep. So they moved it back south to London. And it's in that convention centre that's an absolute pain to get to on public transport as well.
Again, why would you make it easy for the people when you can make it easy for the businesses? It's the EdXL or whatever it is.
Yeah, because we went for the whole week the second year.
Yeah.
Or at least for 5 days. But we travelled each day because it was doable.
Yeah.
But London, if you're going for the week convention, it's like, well, no, it's a hotel job. You're not going to travel to London each day.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, we'll do that at some point. We'll definitely do that. What else has been in the news? PlayStation 5 will stay with that. They had a software update.
Yeah.
So you can finally have external and replacement hard drives, because they've done, as they promised, they've done the testing of the third-party stuff, including the Western Digital Black Series, and they're
you
happy
can't put
with.
anything internal yet, can you?
I think it's just external, but you can still run games externally.
No,
I think.
no, you can't.
Oh, you can store them. You can store them. You can't run them. Yeah.
Yeah. Before you could store and run PS4 games, but you couldn't move PS5 games at all. Yeah. Now you can move PS5 games, but you got to move them back to play.
Yeah. Which is fair enough, because I mean, if it's a fast enough connection, it won't take long.
It's needed, because I haven't got that much on it, and my PS5's nearly full.
Yeah.
I've got what's on there? Astrobot. Valhalla's installed. Watch Dogs is installed. Phoenix Rising is installed. Resident Evil 7 is installed. God of War is installed. And there's maybe 200 gig left.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, considering the size of certain...
You're right, it's considering the size of games, but that's 7...
Yeah.
7 games are nearly full, which would mean holding your library on is an impossible task.
Oh, of course. I mean, it is an impossible task. That's why they still offered an optical drive option this generation. It's going to be a while.
That doesn't make it any easier to hold games, because the install files from optical games aren't really any smaller than...
Oh, I'm not saying it's smaller. I'm just saying that, you then have a means of storage. You still can only install a certain amount, but, it then saves your download.
Yeah, although an argument could be made that once you've bought a game, it's in your library to download whenever you want.
You've still got to then re-download it. You've still got to
reinstall and re-download it if you want to install a game from a disc.
Oh, and
all the disc really does these days is say, "Hey, download this game."
Well, it doesn't download. It takes it from the disc.
It also does a fair amount of downloading.
Yeah, only if you've got to get all the updates.
Realistically, a disc is a receipt that says, "I've bought it, give it to me." That's all a receipt really does nowadays. A disc, really.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, kind of. It's because of all the day one patches and stuff, isn't it? Because obviously everyone goes gold now with an unfinished game. It's quite rare that,
and some people with more an unfinished game than others. Looking at you,
Bethesda.
I was going to say CD Projekt Red, but
well, yeah, I mean they're the new kings of it, aren't they? So, especially if you bought it on a console. How dare you?
It seems to turn people fully against pre-ordering.
Yeah, it might be the thing that finally killed it.
I don't. I pre-order games I know I'm gonna want to play. Like,
you see, I don't get the idea of pre-ordering digital, but if it was a physical copy,
my problem with pre-ordering digital is that you pay up front for it, so I can't change my mind down the line. I can't be like, actually, I'll leave it.
Yeah, like, I mean, I like for games I love, I still want the physical copy. Like, so like when Gran Turismo 7 comes out, I will get the physical copy of that. And if there's a nice version that isn't like ridiculously expensive, then I will certainly pre-order the nice version, and I'll get that.
I've become a bigger PC gamer in the past 6 months as well, and obviously,
because you got a new PC, haven't you?
Yeah, that's only a realm of digital. And my first PC in, obviously Macs are PCs, but my first Windows-based PC in a long, long time. I've not had I'll put it this way: my last Windows computer ran on XP.
Yeah,
that's how long it's been. Like,
I can't remember when I last had one. So I think at least 10 years.
I like Windows 10.
I like Windows 10.
It's a good operating system.
I mean, I got used to it. Like, when I've had to use it at work in various places and stuff like that. Like, it was, admittedly, it's weird going back to it. Even simple things like where the buttons are on keyboards, like being ever so slightly different. Like, because you have to think suddenly.
The Alt key catches me out, and I've got a keyboard that is the keys have both drawn on.
Yeah.
So like my Option key has a line down it. On one side it says Option, on the other side it says Start. My Alt key has a line down it. On one side it says Command, on one side it says Alt. So it's a Mac Windows
hybrid
keyboard, and my mouse works across both. But again, it's a relatively high-end keyboard and mouse that I funneled some money in to have the kind of perfect setup I want. It's not mechanical.
Yeah,
it's Logitech's kind of premium slim kind of productivity keyboard, but their MX range. But I'm enjoying owning a PC again. I still use my MacBook for various other things.
Yeah.
But
I think there's benefits to both.
The PC for gaming, it is it's allowed me to play multiplayer with friends as well that I wouldn't have had the chance to if I was still just solely on console. Like I've been playing a lot of early access multiplayer horror games, which are like really rough games, but playing through them with some friends, mics talking to each other, like exploring a haunted asylum or a creepy labyrinth, it's a lot of fun. It's a good way to kill a couple of hours and hang out in the evening, especially when you can't, in a time when you can't hang out. Like,
yeah, I actually think that like the modern like PC stores, as in for games, is something that has potentially changed it. That if I were to get a PC, I might actually play games on it. Because in the past, like, it's always been that issue of like having to like it's so much faff to run it.
Before modern stores, too much. And bear in mind, you can't really call Steam a modern.
No.
Store. Steam has been around for a long, long time. But before Steam, the way to buy a PC game was you walked into a game shop, you bought it off a shelf, you took it home, and you installed it, which is how consoles currently work. An argument can be that consoles haven't caught up to
No, I'm more on about the whole like needing this or needing that, and like the constant upgrade cycle and stuff like that. Whereas I think that like it's a little more friendly now, and I think with things like Xbox Game Pass as well, where
depending on what you buy, there's no guarantee your PC could play something on Game
Pass.
Yeah,
I mean, there's still no guarantee.
You have to know what your PC is capable of.
I think there's you still have to know that, but I think there's also like, for me, there's a perceived value there as well now, but where like if I have Game Pass, as you do, obviously, then there is going to be something I can play. I might not be able to play everything, but there is going to be something I can play.
Constant updates are not. They know you don't update a PC any more often than you buy a new console, as long as you buy something that is relatively decent at the point.
Yeah, you've got to buy the powerful at the time so that you've got the future proof.
Not even necessarily.
I mean, doesn't it be?
Like, my PC is not one of the latest generation of graphics cards. It's got a 2070 in it. We're on the 30 range now, I think. Pardon me if I'm speaking nonsense. I don't really know. I bought a pre-built, but
I mean, fair enough.
I wouldn't. I bought a pre-built from HP that was in the kind of case that I can expand it if I want to.
Which I think is what most people would do. I think that's the thing, that like and whether
an argument could be made that you'd be better off buying a custom-made pre-built from PC Builder or PC Specialist, those kind of.
But it depends on like how serious about it you are.
Well, I mean, if you want to get the most value for money, that would be the more sensible.
Because I mean, I know full well that if and when I do buy a PC, I still probably won't game on it that much. So for me, like going out of my way to actually get a premium build from somewhere is like. Whereas
at that point, why not just buy the next iMac?
Yeah, true.
Because if you're fully probably not going to be playing games on it, you'd be better off sticking with Mac.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I think realistically, the only thing that I would probably end up playing on a PC is if once we get a large enough house that I can have a gaming room with my driving rig in it. Is if I got into proper sim racing. Like graduated from Gran Turismo up to something a bit more technical. And then I would need something more.
I know you probably would get I know you're more likely to get, say, an S than an X, but say you were thinking of dropping £400 on an Xbox Series X. Another 500-600 would get you a full-fledged PC that can probably play all those first-party Xbox games, and that's the thing. Like I say, mine's not a bleeding-edge PC, but it will handle most things I could throw at it for the next. Like I can play medium from the recent. Oh yeah, I mean you'll
get a couple of years out of it guaranteed. Like from now. I mean I know you've had it for a year.
Not quite. I got it summer last year.
Yeah, so I mean you're going to get comfortably another 2 years worth of like good experience out of it.
What I gather, and then some.
Oh yeah.
There's people. I know people who are running relatively recent games perfectly fine on either an older graphics cards than I've got. You might not be whacking that up to max settings on everything, but
I mean, it's not just the graphics card though, isn't it? It's the combination of everything you get. Watching the Digital Foundry breakdowns. Like some games,
it's processor power and things, but then processors tend to not age as quickly as GPUs do. But and
it's all very interesting.
Things like if you decide you need a bit more RAM, that's very easy just to pop a couple of sticks of RAM in. There's a few empty hard drive caddies in there that when they want more storage space, I can just slot in another hard drive. I think laptops will be where my Mac experience probably is for the foreseeable future, and desktops will be a Windows-based game for me. I'm very excited to see what the iMac redesign looks like. That should be probably, I think it's tomorrow.
Is it?
Well, no, it might not be. Apple have got an event tomorrow, and the rumour is iPads and iMacs. New iPad Pros running on a chip based off of the M1, maybe, which steps that iPad into an even more impressive board game than the iPad Pro currently is.
Yeah.
Like, I know we have different opinions on iOS, and I don't think an iPad should run macOS.
I think the Pro should have an option if you've got a keyboard.
I don't think it should, but iPad OS, keep improving iPad OS with more. I don't think macOS, and it's a reason I think we haven't got touchscreen laptops. I don't think macOS lends itself to a touch interface in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
to the point where you can see it in the design language where they try to bring stuff from iOS over. Using a mouse on it feels odd.
But then, I mean, they have very deliberately. Didn't they change the iPad version of iOS anyway? So isn't it like a mid step now?
iPad OS is its own. Yeah, iOS is the skeleton, but it's its own OS that has more features, and that is, I think, for me, what it should be running on.
Yeah. I mean, especially with it having so much power now, and Apple wanting to put essentially the iPad chips into their big computers now. It sort of makes sense that like the iPad Pro in particular should have a Pro operating system running on it. So
the Pro is in its power though, and in its abilities for artists more than it's different design tools for different like
I mean, I'd love, and I know it's got to be on the horizon unless they're going to kill the software off completely. But like, I'd love to see something with Final Cut Pro on there.
I would love to see an iPad OS version of Final Cut. That would be great. Yes.
Like, and especially if it integrates seamlessly with your desktop one, because the thing is that like it doesn't necessarily need to do everything.
I mean, it can integrate seamlessly via iCloud without any. That wouldn't be. That's I
mean, that's what I'm saying. That like in theory, an iPad version of Final Cut, you could have something that was maybe ever so slightly stripped down.
That said, I don't use Final Cut anymore because DaVinci is free. I've been using when I've needed to do a bit of video editing. I've been using DaVinci.
And I think that's where maybe like potentially with a new like if and when they do Final Cut Pro tablet edition, that maybe should only be on the iPad Pro as well. Like don't cheapen it and put it on the normal iPad. Maybe give it away for free.
An argument could they won't do that, but an argument they won't. That for both the iPhone and the iPad Pro is really just a word being used instead of premium.
Yeah,
it's not Pro as in professional. It's Pro as in this is our most expensive version, and we're using the Pro word to signify that. Because inherently, what is professional about an iPhone Pro?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know that there was an iPhone Pro.
Yeah, so it's the the iPhone range goes for 12 and the 12 mini.
Yeah,
and then the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max.
Oh, right,
and the 11 was the 11. And then the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max. Mine is the 11 Pro. Better camera.
Yeah.
It's not a better screen anymore. It was still a better screen in the 11 range. But in the 12 range, it's the same screen across all four.
But then at the same time, like, realistically, like...
They use the same chipset every year across all, so it's not more powerful.
Like, yeah.
It's mostly... The differentiator this year has been... cameras.
Yeah.
The 12 Pro has the telephoto lens as well as the wide and the super wide. And the Pro Max has all those three plus a larger sensor because they can fit a larger sensor in the bigger body. Like, I'll probably be due a new phone when the 13 comes out. And thing is, I always like to go for the one with the best camera. in.
Yeah.
But the Max is too big for my tastes. But I know I'm going to go there because of a larger sensor on the camera. And realistically, do I actually need it? Probably not. But
no, but I mean, I suppose you're also one of those people who's relatively sensible and doesn't upgrade your phone when the new phone comes out. You wait until your contract.
I'm not that sensible. I don't wait till my contract.
Like,
I upgraded to my 11 before my contract was due. I make sure I'm not paying much to do it. Like I would use the old phone to clear it through.
That's really more what I was
am tempted by a new iPhone every single year.
Yeah. Tempted, but don't always go for it. If
trade-in was still a thing,
yeah,
but trade-ins are less of a thing at the moment because of handling of phones, and things. If trade-ins were active, with who I have my contract with, I would have an iPhone 12 right now. I wouldn't have resisted in that burst of the phone is out.
Yeah,
I probably would have gone for one. As each month passes, my mind goes, well, I may as well wait for the next one.
Yeah.
Now, because they release one every year. So the closer and closer you get to October, right, the more and more you may as well hold on.
But then you also, like, you work in a phone shop. So for you, there's almost an excuse to have that latest piece of technology.
There's also that. It just makes it harder to resist the call.
But then
it was the same when I used to work in a camera shop, right? Every time new cameras came out, it was very hard to resist the pull of getting one or upgrading.
But then at the same time, I mean, as you said, I mean, like if you could have traded it in, and obviously with that little bit of staff discount that you get, with cheaper contracts and stuff like that, like on the whole, you're not going to be spending as much as some of the other freaks that go out there and just literally buy a new iPhone every year and then have 13 iPhones in there.
Honestly, the only people doing that are people who can afford it.
No, they're not.
No, most people are buying a new. If they're buying a new iPhone every year, they're walking into Apple and they're handing in their old one. You have a weird perception of how people buy tech.
Oh no, I mean, the thing is, I've known people who like literally get themselves into debt every year because the new toy comes out. So that is
not the majority of people.
Oh, I know it's not the majority. I certainly know it's not the majority. And thank God it isn't the majority.
But we've gone on a massive detour.
We have gone on a massive tangent. Although saying that, phones are a legitimate gaming.
Yeah, Apple Arcade is a great deal.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be.
But so why we're on a detour? You watched Thingy last night.
Deathloop, the comedy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch Deathloop, the comedy movie.
Palm Springs?
Palm Springs, yes.
Yeah. One of my favourite films from last year.
Yeah, I can see why.
It's a time loop comedy with
Andy Samberg
and
I always forget her name.
Christina Milioti.
The mother from How I Met Your Mother.
Christina Milioti, isn't it?
Something like
Milioti,
that's it.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And also,
I am really glad that she's got that film because, like, she's someone that I think is
she's fantastic in it.
Yeah, she's absolutely wonderful, and I know that like she does more than necessarily we get to see over here. Like, I'm sure there's American TV and what have you that she does that like doesn't necessarily graduate to international audiences, but like. I'm really glad because she was fantastic in that, like absolutely fantastic. Younger than I thought as well, because obviously she was the mother in How I Met Your Mother, which like ended quite a while ago now. Or it certainly seems like. Ted must have married young. Like, I don't know. She's only 35 now. Yeah. And of course, Sandberg's like 41 now, so like I always like I was just sort of expecting, especially she was playing the older sibling, that like she was playing Sandberg's contemporary,
I mean, she probably was. Is her age mentioned in the?
It's not meant. It's not
They're
mentioned
probably meant
in
to
there,
be
no.
of similar age.
Oh yeah. Because Sandberg always plays younger anyway.
But there's a
But
wonderful dark undercurrent to
it's
that film.
brilliant, isn't it?
The
Yeah. I mean,
the depressing notion of what it must actually be like living in a
in a time loop.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Um,
I love that despite Sandberg arguably being the main character, we're
yeah.
not introduced to the loop through Sandberg. Sandberg has been living in it for a long time. Is the implication?
Yeah.
Like,
Potentially like hundreds of years long. Like,
yes, there is a implication that he has been in there for some time.
yeah.
And obviously he's accidentally pulled two people into it, hasn't he? And one of them despises him enough that he just hunts him down and kills him on the regular. And but I like him because of like when some of it, like you feel pain. Like sure, everything resets, but pain is still.
Yeah, pain is still real. Yeah. So if you are going to die quickly.
Yeah.
Like, but it was a great film. I think for me, like time loop episodes of TV, they can be very much a take it or leave it thing. Like, I mean, I've watched a lot of Star Trek in the last year, and there's a couple of time loop episodes.
I mean, love the
there's a time loop episode.
Well.
Yeah, time loop done well. And see, even
the Happy Death Day films, they are also very good time loop movies.
I mean, even when it's done well, I really have to be in the mood for it. I know it's not a genre as such, but like time loop TV and films are certainly something I don't.
I mean, I'd argue it is a genre, just a very
like
very
a tiny
niche one.
Yeah, a little niche genre, but it's certainly something I don't necessarily like. I don't dislike it either. It's just one of those like.
I like a lot of the elements of time loop opens up. I do. I like, and this plays with it really well. I like what is potentially like in the Happy Death Day film. She realizes that every time she's sustaining the injuries that kill her. So while she's waking up every day, if you actually X-ray her, she has hideously like broken.
Oof.
Like she's healing, but she's sustaining. Effectively, she's sustaining the scar tissue.
Okay. Yeah.
Like she's healing every morning, but she is someone who's potentially broken her leg 50 times. Like, your leg doesn't function as well after.
You see, that it would be those little things in Deathloop that will potentially make it interesting.
That is a game I am very excited for.
Yeah, like because if there is consequence to each loss, like it might take you another 2 or 3 loops to get over the fact that like your leg was shattered in the previous one or something like that. Like that would be quite a fun little dynamic. That I know obviously there's exaggerated physics in it, but say if you did fall to your death, that maybe the next loop round you're a little slower because your legs are still healing or what have you. That would be a nice little thing. Like making that, obviously on paper it looks stunning, Deathloop, and like stylistic and really interesting. And obviously Arcane are great with stories and great with little detail. But it is going to be a challenge making it flow nicely in that Deathloop situation. I
mean,
so like which obviously is what this film manages. Like it's a really odd combination of 50 First Dates.
Yeah, it's
that's some darkness from like Spring Breakers.
The romance is bittersweet.
The romance is bittersweet,
well. Yeah, like
although quite nice though.
Yeah,
because in a sense it's realistic.
They are two rather broken people who find each other, aren't they? That's the that's the key. But yeah, I love it. It's one of my favourite films from last year, and I'm glad it's now available for more people to see.
Yeah. Let's finich this episode.
Yeah, I was going to say,
with a little bit of fun. We'll just do 5 minutes of discussing our favourites, and we've mentioned genres and subgenres. We'll go with what's our favourite for this episode. Just one favourite first-person shooter, James. And why, obviously.
What we classing as first-person shooter?
Whatever you want to class as first-person shooter. If it's first-person and you technically shoot things,
I'm not going to class first-person stealth games. I do think they are a different genre, like your Dishonored. I don't think they are first-person shooters.
Yeah, fair enough. If you wish to count BioShock, you can.
BioShock is a first-person shooter.
Yeah. So therefore, obviously, like System Shock as well. Not that I've played those games. I played the first BioShock.
BioShock will be up there, but my mind, every time I think of something that technically I might prefer, my brain is dragging me back to Halo 3.
Why?
Because I had a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of memories of playing it multiplayer, like couch multiplayer, of like tag teaming the campaign. It's just good. I think it is a lot of the best the genre has to offer. Its online was fun at the time. It's not a corridor shooter like your Call of Duties. I know there's a whole market of online-only shooters these days, and I imagine they're very good, but like there's part of me that would say classic Doom, but the recent Wolfensteins, the recent Dooms are all very good shooters, all worthy of mention. But anytime I'm going down and thinking of something else that I think is potentially a better game, my heart still says Halo 3.
That's fair enough. I mean, I have a similar reasoning for my choice.
Pick Red Faction.
Of course I am, yeah.
See, I prefer Red Faction 2 to Red Faction. Even though Red Faction is arguably the better game, I like the story in 2.
I think the story is probably better in 2. I think it sacrificed too much of what made...
Oh yeah, it was
of what physically made Red Faction
2
Red Faction.
Is a very generic action shooter.
Yeah, whereas Red Faction 1, because of the fact that you could destroy almost anything, and to a level really that hasn't been seen since.
Maybe Red Faction Guerrilla.
Even Guerrilla, because Guerrilla didn't let you destroy the ground. It was still all about
person.
It was all about the buildings, and I don't really have an issue with it changing perspective.
No, but you can't call it a first-person shooter.
No. I mean, personally, I prefer the third-person perspective anyway. But the the Red Faction games moved away from what really Red Faction was with the first one. And by the time it came around to Guerrilla, they had such realistic demolition physics. But again, it was
the third one, isn't it?
It was only the buildings. Fourth?
No, I think it's a third. I don't think it was a Red Faction 3. I think it's Red Faction 2, Red Faction Guerrilla.
Yeah, maybe. And there is another one. I'm sure there's at least
there's one after it that went back first person.
Because Guerrilla was the one that they had to actually hire structural engineers to design the buildings, because they'd made a physics engine that was so realistic that buildings were just falling down by themselves because they didn't know how to build a real building.
Wow. Red Faction 2001.
Yeah.
Red Faction 2 2002. There was a Red Faction Beast that was cancelled.
Yes,
it was meant to be a Nintendo Wii game. Then Red Faction Guerrilla in 2009, and then Armageddon in 2011. And that put the cap on the franchise. Well, we've had Guerrilla remastered since, but...
Yeah. I see, with all the remakes and stuff that are getting done at the moment, the original Red Faction with modern consoles, with the all the bells and whistles of super fast hard drives and stuff like that, so that it can actually... Because the problem realistically now is that obviously graphics got to a point where the expectation of graphics was so high that they couldn't do all the destruction. They couldn't do all the mining essentially from Red Faction 1, because I mean Red Faction 1 is an ugly game. Like
you look at were ugly back then.
Oh yeah, but I mean you look at the difference between Red Faction 1 and Red Faction 2.
Oh.
Red Faction 2 is on the same platform, it's from the same era.
Then I guess you look at contemporaries would be Time Splitters. That was a popular shooter at the time. Also very good. Yeah, I mean like there are prettier games that are from the same generation. Yeah.
But because they don't have that destruction environment and what have you, that's why they're prettier. And that's why even Red Faction 2 is prettier. Whereas I think you could now, with all this lovely new fast technology, a really good remake, and I hope THQ Nordic are thinking about it at least, a remake of the original Red Faction with that full thing that made Red Faction, but with all the new bells and whistles of the new consoles, that could be something very, very special indeed.
It's why I am excited for Halo Infinite, and I'm glad they seem to be like, okay, we're going to delay this and take our time because it needs to be. I don't care how long it takes because it's a game that needs to be good. That needs to bring back people like me who love the Halo trilogy, but then kind of fell off. Right, Infinite is their chance to like make me go, oh yeah, I remember why I love Halo.
I mean, it needs that, but it also needs somehow to get a new audience as well, because it's that like it's riding that fine balance of like pleasing the old fans, but also pleasing the new fans. It's
thing is, I think classic Halo will pull in if it's good, because there hasn't been anything like it in a while.
No, I think it just needs to be done well.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. Like as you say, I mean, like
which is why I'm happy for them to take the time if they think they need it.
But then it just needs those tiny little tweaks and refinements to also potentially like. I mean, obviously, like things like Apex Legends are huge at the moment, and I wouldn't say on the surface. I mean, obviously, I've not played it, but I've
played Titanfall 2, which is set in the same world as Apex Legends.
But I mean,
you know what? I said Halo 3.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 would be a hell of a contender for my favourite.
Oh, really?
That game is like one of the most underrated hits of last
gen.
Yeah, because no one played it.
Well, I mean, they put it out to die, basically, because it came out between... It was the week between COD and Battlefield.
Yeah, but it has the best single-player shooter campaign I'd played in a long time. Like, the clever stuff it does, like, there's a time travel level.
Yeah.
Where, at fast pace, you were jumping through different times to get past obstacles, but you're running and gunning all at the same. Like, it's just that game is genius.
They're actually adding some more of that content into Apex Legends soon, aren't they?
Cool.
I think the next season of Apex Legends is going to be significantly more Titanfall based.
Our friend Ash was a big Apex player.
Yeah.
I think on that question...
I think the thing, I think with Halo, as you say, I think if they can get it like not so it's copying Apex, obviously you don't want to copy it, but I think if you can get it into that same realm, because obviously with the Spartans, because they're super strong and they do bounce around a bit more and what have you, I think like if you can get it so it's got that balance that Apex has, where it is obviously a little bit over the top, but not like so over the top. Because I think Fortnite's that next step, isn't it? Where it's like really over the top. You don't want that for Halo.
I'm tempted to hop in Fortnite in the upcoming Batman season, just to...
Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, on that note, the two greatest first-person shooters of all time, Halo 3 and the original Red Faction, which I did play the inferior version of the PlayStation 2, obviously, because I wasn't a PC Master Race boy at the time. But nor have I ever been, really. So next time we have a little train of thought about games, or an official games chat episode, assuming that there's enough content.
This was very much a train of thought.
Yeah, this was a train of thought. Maybe we'll cap that episode with our favourite from a different gaming genre.
Yeah.
But on that note, have fun.
See you soon.